have main topics, but today we'll be speaking about the developments in Egypt, Syria and Iran. We are going to speak about the latest developments concerning the Egyptian political scene, and today of course we have seen the Egyptian higher administrative court blocks creation of the constitutional or the constituent assembly, plus the presidential election commission ready to apply law banning former regime figures. Those were two major headlines. We'll be having with us for discussion Brigadier Hany Sedky, a security expert. We thank you very much for joining us today.
Welcome. Pleasure.
Of course, we'll not be speaking about security matters today. However, if you will permit me to ask you about one question about the security, but later on, not now.
Right.
And we start with this important piece of news. Egypt's court blocks creation of constitutional assembly, and Egyptian court on Tuesday halted a move to create a new constitutional assembly pending a ruling on its legality. The injunction slapped on the decision by Parliament could delay the introduction of a constitution needed urgently to clarify the powers of Egypt's new head of state. That was not a surprise, because we all knew that today there would be a verdict concerning the matter of the Constituent Assembly. But how do you view such a decision?
Well, I think, first of all, it was right at the first place. I mean, the Islamists, they wanted to grab hold of the cake, you say, and they thought that this is the main part of the cake, which is really attracting everybody towards. So they thought that, first of all, they have to put their hands on this eye-attracting part of the cake. Then later on, they will try to grab the rest of the cake.
You mean by the eye attracting the parliament, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
And then they found that the power is not in the hands of the parliament, and they wanted to go on with other authorities.
Yes, definitely.
But concerning a constitution that would last for decades, not just for 4 or 5 years, that it would be the life of a parliament or a president, the constitution should be this legal framework that the country will be working with throughout years to come. This new constitution would have defined the authority of different powers. I mean, parliament, president, executive authority, all the authorities in Egypt. From your point of view, was it right that the parliament, which is one of the powers of the country, and which the constitution defines its authorities, that this parliament should put the constitution?
Well, first of all, I'd like to emphasize that the constitution was supposed to be the first step before the parliament, before the government, before the presidential elections. I mean, if we go back post-revolution.
Yes, constitution first or elections first.
This is
yes.
the right first, or step number one that should have been taken. Say, because the constitution, as you've just mentioned, is not only shaping the ruling in the country. I mean, it defies the parliament, it defies all the rest of the powers. It's also defies the way of life of the normal citizen. You see, what I have, what are the rights that I have, and what are the obligations that I have to fulfill. You see, so the constitution is a huge matter, actually. You see. So,
but things went on in
you
this
asked me
order.
my opinion.
Right.
I thought, my opinion, that the Constitution was the first step, and it should
have been the first step.
It should have been the first step, and it should have been no amendments. a whole new one. See?
Right, but we will not argue with this because
No,
what
of
happened
course
has
not.
happened,
Of
and
course, yeah.
things went
Yeah.
into that order. Now that the Constitutional Declaration in its Article 60 has said that after the upper and lower House of Parliaments would be elected, they are to convene to start choosing the Constituent Assembly. It was a little bit vague of who they should choose, from inside the Parliament or from outside the Parliament. That was never defined in this article. So the question right now, is it right that the Parliament or one sect from the community dominates this assembly?
Of course, the Constitution is, as we all know, is the father of all laws.
Yes.
Okay, and the Creator, okay, should not be created by the thing it creates. You know, I mean that the Parliament should be created according to the Constitution, not vice versa. You see, this is where the mistake is. And also, of course, no majority or no faction should overwhelm the making of the Constitution. You see, this is against all principles of democracy, of all the good things we're all looking for post-revolution. You see, the revolution was at the first place against
the domination of
yeah,
one
all
part.
sorts. Yeah, we don't want to repeat what we had.
Does this Constituent Assembly, or that one that was elected, did it really represent all the segments of Egypt's community or society?
Of course not. Of course not.
Right. Moving on to Egypt's Independent and Presidential Elections Commission, ready to apply law banning former regime figures. That was another important piece of news we had today. Hatem Begato, Secretary General of the Presidential Elections Commission, said that the Commission is ready to apply the law banning former regime members from running in elections if it is passed by Parliament. He also said that the Commission will carefully examine all cases and will deal impartially with all candidates, adding that the Commission found duplicate signatures collected by some candidates which would be discarded. One important thing that General Assar yesterday said that the Parliament can take any decision and no one can interfere with its decision, but when coming to applying it, they should first have the approval of the SCAF. So he said clearly that they are trying figures who had to do with the corruption that occurred during the past regime. But political isolation is not a matter of discussion. There will be no political isolation. How do you view such a statement by Mr.
General Assar?
No, first by Mr. Begato.
First, okay. Mr. Begato is talking with legal points, okay? Because legally, as long as there is no already declared law against some former figures to participate in the political arena, so it's unconstitutional to ban someone who has not been accused or charged with something connected with corruption and the intolerable situation before the revolution. I mean, it's all aroused because some figures ran lately into presidential elections. Some figures, well-known figures, they were
in charge,
and they were considered by most of the public or most of the people. They were hated, and they were the backbone of the former regime.
But we are speaking here about legal-wise. Legal-wise, he is the Secretary General of the Presidential Elections Commission, and they are saying that if the Parliament approves such a law that is submitted by Assam Sultan, one of the People's Assembly members, they are going to apply it. So, doesn't this contradict with what General Assar said?
Of course it is. Of course it is. Actually, it takes time to such a law Mr. Sultan was speaking about to be approved by the Parliament and to be applied. I mean, it's still early to think of applying an idea, and I consider it as an idea for the time being.
Right, but they are not saying so. They can say that they can proceed with the procedures and it can be applied before the 26th of April.
The making of any law, even the traffic law, as I used to be a former traffic officer, okay, it takes time in the Parliament to be approved, to be designed, to be, concerning all parties. You see, making laws is not such an easy thing.
My other question would be, how will they define who was working with the regime in favor of the country and who was not, and who really served his country and who did not? And legally speaking, is it constitutional to ban any political figure from applying if he was not, as you said, charged or trialed or under trial or any?
There are those criteria, those terms for any figure running for presidential elections, you see. And lately there were the case of one presidential candidate, okay, who proved to have or have not met the terms and conditions of running to presidential elections. See, so based on this, there are terms and conditions, okay, that defines the person eligible to running to presidential elections or not.
Right. So this law is speaking in particular about.
It hasn't been.